best to start off where we left off really. That was trying to fit these here doors, getting them to fit good. And I was modifying the catches or latches, whatever you want to call them. I've decided to now strip them to bits again. And if you watch the other videos on that on my channel or whatever you want to call it, I attempted to weld it. It's not particularly good. I'll show you the bit that I'm gonna order a piece of aluminium bar or steel bar, and then cut it down to the right length that I'm after, so the doors can actually shut better rather than just about having enough. Okay, so these are the Mark 1 locks. So I'm going to take these nuts off. I've already had the spring out, that's from before, and it's this bit that I'm on about here. So where it's going to be mounted inside the door, it's completely it's going to be the wrong way round. So this piece needs to be flipped round, and in order for it to work properly. Because basically these are Mark 1 catches, and the actual carbon doors, if you can remember, which are these ones here, so the actual handles on the outside obviously, and then the locking mechanism may well be able to sit in here. Yeah, so that's going to be bolted in the middle through this mounting plate here, the catch coming out. But this is the one that I've modified, and it's, well, you can see my finger width. It's half a finger width really, and that's at full extent, so it's not going to be secure enough really. And in order to get it secure, I'm going to have out here quite a large, unsightly looking box for it to latch into. It's just going to look pretty crap, so I'm not going to do that. So this is the piece that I'm on about here, this bit that's riveted on. So what I'm planning on doing is whizzing these two rivets out, drill them out. I've just ordered some solid aluminium bar in a square box, so it's the right size in width, but I'll have to cut it down by half and then shave down a nice taper like that, or a nice rounded edge, sorry, like that, and then I can then basically fit it as factory, but it will be much further out and much longer, so I don't have to, like on the other side I had to modify all these other internal edges to give more throw, and then I think I ground them off and then ended up welding this onto this, and it really just was not pretty. So I think we can make a better job of that. Alright, it's going to take more time, but it will look better in the end. I've got the welder in bits at the minute. If you've been watching previously, you've seen that I've not been too happy with the welding. I use a different welder at work and seem to get better results. I have now got a different gas bottle. Rather than running the smaller little bottles, I've got a bigger bottle. It might improve it, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do now. This is the inside of the Mighty Mig 150. Before I had this like rubbery silicone pipe. And you see I've taped it up. That was the fitment on that outlet, which is absolutely no good whatsoever. So I was leaking gas out of there as a start. I mean, this is a right bodge. Why I did it, I don't know, but I put tape around here to make this bigger, clamped it down. I couldn't hear it leaking out of there, but it's obviously difficult to tell. So now what I'm going to do is get rid of this connector completely, taken this one out already, so then I can directly use these little push connectors. I can use that on the other side of this directly onto this bottle, and hopefully we shouldn't have any leaks. So I've got a 5% argon mix. It's the new gauges. These were bought quite a while ago, but I just haven't had a chance to actually use them. This is the rubbery pipe like last time, but fitted like that, nice tight seal. Hopefully it shouldn't leak. I'm going to pop it back together. I think the first job for the welder will be to extend this base plate out a little bit, so I can also chain this onto the back of the mix and it doesn't fall off. So the new gas bottle is all nice and secure on the welder. I've made these little extension pieces here, folded them up to give it a nice little cup to hold the actual bottle on, and these are special blue chains that are fire retardant, as you can see, but that's not, it'll stop it from coming off. And you know, worst case scenario, that could have fallen off of there quite easily, and you know, that would make quite a dent or split it and fire it across the garage, which would never be good. This is the mess that I was talking about before. So this doesn't look very nice to me. So I've got this turned up through the post. It's a solid piece of aluminium, and that is going to go in place of that brass there. Like so, obviously too thick. We can trim that down, follow a similar sort of profile to this. Well, that's just confirmed that wasn't on there very well at all. So that was a bit of a waste of time, but we're going to make it good now. So I have now got to get all this manky old weld out of this bit of cage in here. It's going to take a little while because that's the only bit that the weld actually stuck to. Yeah, so let's get rid of that. So if I've done all my measurements correctly, I should have a maximum poke out, I suppose you could say, from outside here of 10 millimeters to avoid it hitting that part of the panel there. So that's as far out as I can get it, which is probably nearly what I had before, but this will be a lot stronger, hopefully. So I've measured that. It's got to chop that and then try and machine it down to a good profile to get it to fit into here. It's not going to be a 5-minute job. Now roughly at the right length, but as you can see, that block is considerably thicker than the original brass. So we're going to have to slash that down probably nearly halfway, then I can start profiling. I think it's time to reassemble this lot now. doesn't look too bad. It's a lot better than it was. It should be fairly strong as well. It's ended up being a little too long, and also I've got it slightly wonky as well, which is not ideal. So I'm going to whiz those rivets off, grind out the flatter piece, this area on the other side. Now I can manoeuvre it back further into this cage and then rivet it on again, rather than cutting this down. I don't think that's a very good idea, so we'll do that. So at this moment in time we've got a lock temporary fitted in. Show you what. So we've got a fairly similar bit to last time, to be fair, but it's just much more permanent than before. I don't think that looks too bad at all. I've just got to modify inside the actual lock itself to stop the spring from pushing this out at an angle. So I shaved off some material inside, then tries to push it out at the angle. So we'll do that, and also something else which I definitely won't be able to put up with. You can see that. So we've got a bit of clearance for an oops, God forbid, but yeah, I don't want it any further out than that. Okay, so yeah, so that cannot sit like that. Some people might be happy with that. I'm definitely not. So that has got to be. So I've got to somehow take the slop out of this mechanism inside. That's the slop. It's got to sit flat. So I should continue on in the pursuit of some perfection, hopefully. So with much more welding and general tinkering around, I've now got, I know this is not fully bolted together, but you can see if, there we go. Right, so what I've had to do, I'm not sure if I probably did, I chopped these bits out here to accommodate more movement before on the messy one, which you can see on the other videos. So I've welded that back up, so now there's no play side to side in that, so it goes back and forth nice and straight. That is one real freaking strong spring, I tell you. So now the only problem I have to address on this is like a limiting section on here to stop this piece going too far into this lock, because it then goes in too far into the door and then makes a big old mess. So we don't want that. And then after that, let's see if I can somehow get this square drive straighter, but that might be able to be addressed by manoeuvring around this lock in the actual door, but we'll see how I get on with the limiting side of it. We go from there and we're nearly there. And the good thing is, by doing this, I've only got to do it one more time. So it gives me good practice for next time. Just as a way of a change, the lock's apart again. So I've worked out that I can have a maximum of 7.5mm. So this is these little lines here and here. So I'm going to put a little bit of weld on, and that will hopefully be my limit point, which will be normally hitting this. So when you turn the handle, this is limited here. Okay, so we're going to stop about there. That's the plan anyway. I'm really pleased with what I've got done here. It's pretty much in. I just now need to work on getting it bolted up better in the car. I'll show you how it is. It's just all temporary fitted at the minute, but it's all limited to the right amount of travel now, and I'll show you to show you what it looks like. So this all definitely needs tweaking around. I would ideally like to fit it like this, but I don't like the look of the, obviously that is not going to be left like that. I don't like the look of having like the back end of a bolt or a stud sticking out, so I'll have to work out a better way of fixing this, because when you put it in, you can just about see in there, that is going to be an absolute pig to get nuts and bolts in there, but it'll look better. So okay, there we are. That's that bit sticking out. The door handle is nearly straight now, and I haven't tried actually taking out any slop in the mechanism. Since I did the welding on the inside, that's the amount of slop that we have. So I think it's going to be a case of when I'm getting it mounted, getting this bit mounted in here better and straighter will then have a knock-on effect on this and make that look very, very nice. So we're nearly there. I'm going to wrap this video up with a bit of a confession and tell you what, I've made a fairly big mistake and I don't want anybody else to do it. I've been doing some research on the internet and from other people that I know, so I've been using this etch primer, which is perfectly acceptable to do, but I've made a big mistake, and that is to use etch primer and then use filler on top. So basically all the work that I've done already on all these rear quarters and A panels and that, I've now got to redo again, because when it comes to paint, it looks fine now, but from what I've found out, when it comes to paint, because the etch primer is a 1K product, it absorbs moisture, and then with filler over the top, you spray your 2K or cellulose or what have you on top, draws all the moisture out, and before it dries, the filler will just basically pop off that panel. So I'll have to start again basically, which is a real pain in the butt, but I'd rather find out things like that now than end up having to do it after I painted it, which would not be good at all. So yes, that's how I leave the video today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit the subscribe. There'll be many more to come. I try not to bore you with lots of bodywork videos, because I don't really know or clearly what I'm doing, but I will do my best to improve, and hopefully we'll end up with a nice looking car at the end of it and learn lots on the way. I'll see you again next time.